All right, moving on to our next topic of hand. Let me restart here. All right, this is off of BusinessInsider.com, written by Kevin Webb. Sony announced what's next for PlayStation with a Nintendo-style presentation called State of Play. Sony showed off a full slate of upcoming PlayStation 4 games during a special video presentation on Monday called State of Play. The 20-minute video mimics the styles of the Nintendo Direct presentations that Nintendo has been using to announce games since 2011. Sony Worldwide Studios chairman Sean Layden said the company would be committed to more frequent updates in communication during 2019. Sony canceled its PlayStation Experience fan conference last year due to a lack of meaningful announcements and pulled out of the year's biggest video game expo for the first time since the PlayStation launch in 1999. State of Play will be an ongoing part of Sony's strategy to keep in touch with fans. While only a few of the PlayStation 4 games featured in State of Play were debuted announcements, the presentation showed off gameplay footage from 10 upcoming games. Half of those titles are designed for use with the Sony PlayStation VR headset, demonstrating Sony's commitment to developing virtual reality. So, I'm not sure if you had the chance to check out the State of Play video conference they did on Monday.
I didn't, but I did watch some of the trailers for their upcoming VR games.
So I watched it, not live, but post just on my own time. It's pretty much copying Nintendo Direct almost to a T.
Oh, shit! All right.
Not to say it's a bad thing, but the only thing they took out was the human elements of it. It was just an ominous voice talking about what's coming up next. And it would show like kind of a more in a diagonal slide where they'll show the picture of the game that's going to be shown, and then the next one afterwards as the preview of what's going to come next. So
I mean, it's a smart move because it works. Nintendo figured out a formula where people can watch these things without the error of without the human error part. So, I totally get PlayStation kind of biting off of that, which is great. We should see more of that in the future from everybody. But yeah, sorry.
So my question when this happened, I was watching this, and first off, it was actually, just to kind of go back, it was actually a pretty good presentation. It was pretty clean. I liked it. It was a pretty cool thing they did. No, my expectation was pretty low. Although look at the internet, and some of them were mad that this was not as great as other press conferences. They're starting out, so give them time. But
also, it's the internet being fucking stupid. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's new? But one of the things that kind of came,
fight the internet.
So one of the things that came to mind are these questions when I was watching this is, so as we've seen, especially in this article that talked about it, Sony is not going to be at E3 this year. They announced that they were not going to be at E3 this year, and they didn't have a PSX event last year because they felt they didn't have anything to show, or did not want to amp up something that fans are going to get disappointed by. So with this in place, and they said they're going to continue a consistent communication with its fan base, what do you think Sony has in plan? With this move, do you think that they're just going to lead this into what Nintendo does with Directs and just have State of Play as Sony's Directs and not go to any more E3s?
I certainly hope so. I've said it a bunch of times on this podcast primarily, but something that always irritates me with E3 is there's this pressure to put on a show. And when you put on a show, you miss out on the most important part of video games, and that's video games. And I feel that a lot of these companies do that. PlayStation did it, or not PlayStation, but Xbox did it right last year. They made their conference all about games, but they still put on a show. And I think that's what gets a lot of people kind of A, out of the hype loop, or B, just don't giving a shit because they don't care about making the games for us to be to be entertained by the game itself. They just want to get us hyped, and people get disenfranchised from that. They feel like that the company doesn't care about them anymore, and I totally understand that. I really, really do. But what I loved about Nintendo's Directs, and people even shit on fucking Square Enix for their little like video thing during E3. But Christ, sorry, I'm playing Tetris 99 while talking, and I fucked up. It's fine, whatever. When you play to the strength of your own games, when you play to the strength of what people want, the reason they buy a Switch, the reason they buy a PS4, the reason they buy an Xbox One, is to play games, and you showcase that, people get excited. People get really excited. Sure, there's a few of the faller offers that are like, it's fucking, I didn't like this Direct because they didn't talk about Animal Crossing. It's like, okay, so did you see all the other fucking cool games? Like, do you only play Animal Crossing? And I sincerely hope that PlayStation even takes a further note off of Nintendo, and they do a lot of these quote unquote state of plays. I think that's actually a really fucking smart name for it too. But it's very clear to me that these small little video presentations that showcase the future of what they have planned are going to make a lot of people less, oh, it's just a corporate entity that doesn't give a shit about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fascinating when I'm on Twitter and it's after E3 and we see a lot of people just like shitting all over PlayStation or Microsoft or Ubisoft or whatever because of their, presentations that just honestly feel like they're just putting on a show. And people see that stuff. And Devolver Digital did a great job parodying that. Like, their satire of an E3 press conference is fucking brilliant.
It's good. It's really good.
That's the problem. So, state of play, perfect. Well done. PlayStation, keep it going. Keep doing it. Make it better. I know you guys can. And it's cheaper too. Good Lord, is it cheap?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the things that E3 is known for is like when game companies come out to that event, like they spend a lot of money on a lot of things to showcase their games in a wide range of ways. So having Sony doing this, like, and also canceling PSX last year, and not being at E3 this year, tells me that Sony is willing to bet on themselves that the way that they communicate to their fans, they don't need E3, they can do it on their own merit, which every video game company out there can do the same. Why go to E3? Yeah. Like, you can just do your presentation and all the news media goes to you, because when you announce something, when you have something teasing for a next game or whatnot on your own stream or on a video like Sony had for the State of Play, the media goes to you rather than trying to compete for that same space against other big companies during E3, that you have to get that space to people to talk about it. And
right. I think one of the things you and I have talked about, Anthony, multiple times is that we live in an age of hype. Like, it'll take more than just Apex Legends to kill that, but we do live in the age of hype. And in order to get eyeballs on your game, you have to build hype for it. It's just there's an oversaturation in the market of games in general, both indie and AAA. Almost said Triple X. Jesus Christ.
That movie was bad. Go on, sorry.
I mean, I'm glad you went with movie and not porn. The issue at hand, like I said, is how you build that hype. And what I really want to see, another thing that I think my Why You're Wrong was about it last week. But the stage demos, man, like they're never what the final product is. Like they've never have been. They never will be. And with quarterly directs or quarterly like video presentations, you take out that whole part, the whole part of it of a game being presented too early, quote unquote. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Am I coming through across like that?
Oh no, yeah, no,
like
no, I agree. Like you talked about last week, and I gotta add on to that. That like like these E3 events, what they're doing to the game or to these companies is they're kind of forcing them to make a slice of the game or take part of their game and showcase a game that's not nearly complete yet, or maybe it is almost completed, and they kind of show off like, here's a snippet of what's to come, which happens kind of rarely nowadays.
Or but like you look at games like No Man's Sky or Watch Dogs or something like that, and you look at the footage of what they showed at E3 for the first time showcasing the game versus what the final product looks like, and it looks totally different.
Yeah.
And for me, I go, okay, that's just the nature of the beast, moving on with my life. For a lot of people, that's a massive problem. It shouldn't be, but it's a massive problem for a lot of people. I've been seeing those videos like constantly on fucking Anthem, and I'm just like, yeah, it wasn't going to be, it shouldn't be, like, that was a stage demo. But if you take the element of the stage demo away, you can build hype on something that doesn't require all of that extra fluff.
Yes, that stress, the money and whatnot. Like it's the best thing that Sony can do, especially the way that they've been definitely dealing themselves with how they want to go about their promotions and future games, and not going to E3 and kind of betting on themselves, especially this year, with the talk of PS5 and whatnot. So yeah, which begs the question, which we'll get to it another day, but like we talked about it before, but like the use and the what is the purpose of E3 at this point. So
I think that the press conferences need to end, but the purpose of E3 is to get both press people and I mean now it's just regular people, but to and build extra hype. Like I think that's the whole point. Like if a game has a playable demo,
yeah,
do you want to showcase that at E3?
There's also talks of maybe making E3 into more like a PAX, which they could do so.
That's hella smart.
Yeah, but that's